All right, so we're in Gretna now. We're in old Gretna. When people think of Carlos, they think of New Orleans, which, yeah, he ran New Orleans, but he came up in Gretna and Algiers. This was his stomping grounds. This is where he made his name for himself. With installing not jukeboxes, slot machines and jukeboxes, also cigarette machines, any type of coin machine. He ran, which we're going to see the Jefferson Amusement Company in just a second, but they ran all kinds of stuff out of there. But Gretna, Gretna, Belle Chase, Algiers, that's where he grew up, and that's where he got his start. So behind me is the High Roller Stag Bar, which is an old gambling place. It's very small, but I guess it was very popular back in the day. It's been closed for at least a couple of decades now, as I understand it. The sign is still there. The place is now used for storage for the company in front of here, which is the Common Grounds Coffee Shop. The Common Grounds was most recently owned by Nick Christiana Jr., who, not sure if Jr. was mobbed up, but his dad, Nick Christiana, certainly was mobbed up. And he was part of the West Bank crew. So we'll walk around and see what Common Grounds looks like. Common Grounds originally during the Kefauver Committee hearings in 1951, this was Carlos and Vincent Marcello's Jefferson Amusement Company, or sometimes you see it as Jefferson Music Company, and this was their distribution point for slots and other coin operated machines. So, yeah, this was the famous Jefferson Amusement Company. Pretty good food in the Common Ground. I've eaten here a few times. But that was it. I'm not sure. There were several locations for Jefferson Amusement. This being the one during the Kefauver Committee hearings, but the other ones I haven't been able to pin down the addresses yet. Behind me, this is a story I've heard. I haven't been able to confirm it, but this used to be the old post office. Now, in I believe it was the mid 50s, the local cops got word that the state troopers under Francis Grevenberg were coming to raid the place because this whole area was full of illegal casinos. Well, apparently the local cops, they barricaded the streets for when the state troopers showed up, and there was a gun battle between the state troopers and the local police. And supposedly this building here, there's still some bullet holes where it chipped out the brick and stuff. I've looked, I haven't been able to find anything concrete, and I haven't been able to find any info that's concrete saying yes, it did happen, but it's a great story. Yeah. So, okay, let's go over here real quick. Pascal Marcello had a bar called the Joy Club. The original location of the Joy Club was right here at this building. Unfortunately, there's no picture. No, I'm sorry. There is one picture at night, taken at night, of the Joy Club in this location here. It moved after a while to a location down the street here. Which, we're gonna have to walk down a little bit, so you may want to click it off.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we're going.
The Joy Club later moved to this location here. This is not the original building, but this is the location of the second Joy Club. This is the one that there's no pictures of, except I have one aerial shot where you can just barely see the Joy Club sign. That's it. But so to keep in mind, you know, here's Carlos's slot machine distribution center. Here's you know, Pascal Marcello's Joy Club, where apparently it was pretty common for underage kids to get in and party up. You know, there's probably a lot of gambling going on and stuff in there too. So now we'll head down here a little bit. I love this place, man. I'm always like, man, that had to be a casino. It had to be an old gambling hall, you know, because, I mean, look at it. It's just perfect for an old gambling hall, but I've never been able to find anything on it. All I can find is it was a drugstore at one time. It has that look, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I just think it just screams to me it was a gambling hall at one time, but all I can ever find on it is that it was a pharmacy, you know. But, you know, I'm sure, I'm showing you the highlights of where the gambling was in this little area. I'm sure probably a lot of these places had their own little, you know, card games going and stuff like that. Because, I mean, it was happening all over here. The building back behind me, the tan building on the corner there, that was the Billionaire Cafe or the Billionaires Club, old gambling hall. I don't think Carlos had anything to do with that one. I'm not quite sure offhand. It was Fink. Somebody in Fink were the guys running that one. This building over here, I've been told, was also a casino, gambling hall. I don't have a name for that one though. This is now the post office for Gretna. So to put it all in perspective, in the 50s and 60s, this building over here was the police station. So you have gambling there, you have slot distributions over there, you have gambling over there, you know, you have you know, little card games going all over the place, and there's a cop shop right there. And I still got a couple other casinos to point out to you. Now, a little kind of gee whiz info. In the Axeman of New Orleans case, that's the you know, the case I was telling you about in the late 1918, 1919 time period. There was killings throughout the city of New Orleans, and it was, one of the theories is it was thought to be mob related. And there's a lot of circumstantial info to kind of point that way. Well, the only arrest and trial in that whole deal happened here in Gretna. A family was attacked, and the mother and father survived, but their 2-year-old daughter was killed. A local guy and his dad, Italian people, were arrested because the wife accused them of attacking them. The trial happened up in the second floor of this building up here. They were convicted. The son was convicted to hang, and the dad was convicted to life in jail. Well, about a year or so later, the woman, Mary Cordamelia, she confessed that she had lied, and so they were set free. But she confessed just in time because his name was Giordano. He was pretty close to being executed. So the only trial to ever take place in that case happened right up here on the second floor. Behind me is the Salvador Liberto building, or as they say here, I think Liberto or Liberto. Anyways, Sal was brothers to Frank Liberto. Frank Liberto was a made guy in the New Orleans family. He operated out of Memphis, though. Frank and Sal were implicated in the Martin Luther King assassination. Story goes that a witness overheard Frank on the phone, supposedly with James Earl Ray, telling him to go see my brother in New Orleans for payment. And supposedly the whole thing was orchestrated by Carlos. For whatever reason, he wanted MLK dead. I don't know. I haven't really looked enough into the subject, but a lot of people seem to go with that theory, and you know, I don't know though. Behind me is where the old Gretna ferry used to be. You know, before 1950s or so, the only way to get over to New Orleans from the West Bank was going on a ferry. So you can see older pictures of Gretna, where there's like a bus stop right there to drop people off to the ferry, and you could see it was more flat. This levee had been built up later on, but it was more flat, and you could see the cars driving up to where the ferry was. You could see there used to be a building here, which that was the White Cottage or White House Casino. It was actually a store at one time, and gambling was up on the second floor. This building, which is still in existence right here, is used for nothing but storage now. This was the bank club that Carlos Marcello was at least questioned about during the Kefauver committee hearings about having an interest in. Of course, Carlos took the fifth. He didn't answer the question. It's storage for this company over here now, which is a paper office supplies company. I'd love to get in there and take a look around. Over here on this corner, this whole area, there's buildings in this whole area. On the corner was a casino called The Cave. There was a movie theater right in here, and I believe an A&P grocery store filling out the rest of it. I'd have to look at pictures again to be sure, but I seem to remember that. But yeah, back in, you know, again, in relation to the police station, at the time that was the police station. Yeah, gambling here. Yeah, this we'll go over and get a better view of it, but where all these people are, it's a restaurant bar now. That was called the Clover Club. So you had you know, 3 gambling spots right there. You had a gambling spot right there, caddy corner to the front door of the cop shop. You know, you had it up over there, you know. So, you know, it's just kind of funny that, you know, nobody knew it was going on, you know.
And Carlos presided over this whole area.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, eventually, yeah. Eventually, yeah. I mean, you know, they had gambling down here for decades,
yeah,
as I understand it. But yeah, when Carlos, you know, when he came up and started coming up in the 30s and 40s, and definitely by the time he took over as boss in 47, you know, he would have been at least getting envelopes from all these guys, you know.
This little Gretna, it was like this little den of sin.
Yep.
Across the river from New Orleans, from Bourbon Street and all that. It seemed like, and it wasn't, the prostitution wasn't quite the thing here as it was over there. It doesn't seem to me like, at least I don't hear you say that. Is that?
Well, you don't hear so much about it, but apparently, yeah, there's prostitution. You know, all the stuff that goes along with gambling. Okay, you know, drinking, prostitution, loan sharking. You know, all that stuff. So I think it was. I think it was kind of kept low key, you know, as much as possible. Yeah. But, you know, yeah, it went on. At one point, they were trying to keep gambling low key in New Orleans because they were getting a lot of crap from state officials and everything. So when they kind of started shutting down some of the casinos over there, they all came to Jefferson Parish, you know, and it was an open secret. You know, they advertised it like you see a lot of the old Beverly Club advertisements. You know, it tells you, oh, 10 minutes away from New Orleans. You know, they don't say come gamble, but you knew what it was. You know. Okay, behind us, this is Caesar's nightclub now. But back in the day, it was first it was called the Roof Garden Club, and then the New Garden Club. Both clubs were owned by the chief of police of Gretna, Beauregard Miller. Beauregard Miller was, if you remember in the Carlos Marcello documentaries, he was the guy that would bring, Carlos would bring bags of cash to, $40,000-$50,000 at a time. Miller was he was the chief of police of Gretna for almost 50 years. I mean, it was well known that he was corrupt. He was also one of the people questioned in the Kefauver Committee hearings in 1951. They were held in January 1951 here in New Orleans. But when asked why Miller allowed gambling in his parish, in his town, I should say his town, he replied something to the extent of, without gambling, the town would dry up and die, which is probably, pretty truthful back then. It did provide a lot of jobs and provide a lot of, stability for people. We are, the river is right over there. In fact, you can see one of the cruise liners over there. You can see right behind the levee there. We're under the Crescent City Connection Bridge. We are still in Gretna, but we're very close to the Algiers line. And like I said, this is Carlos's stomping ground, Algiers, Gretna. But yeah, from information I've gotten about Miller, is he was not a guy that you messed with. He was known to publicly kill one person at least, and of course nothing happened. So he was a guy you didn't mess with.
Now, as when Carlos consolidated his power, he was like the boss. Did he keep like a West Bank crew and then a crew over where there more than one crew that had geographically were?
Well, that's one of the things I've been trying to sort out, and there's just really no info on it. New Orleans didn't seem to have the same structure or customs as other families across the country. I've seen information of this guy was affiliated with this guy and that guy was affiliated with that guy, but there's no info on crews per se. It does seem like that the West Bank guys kind of stuck mainly to the West Bank, and the New Orleans guys and Metairie over that way kind of stuck over there. However, I don't know for sure. I mean, I think probably, depending on the deal, it was kind of a mixed bag. But there's definitely guys that were known as West Bank guys that operated in Gretna and Algiers. Like I said, though, I think it was probably a mix. But again, that's one of the things that's just so hard to find any accurate info on. How many guys were inducted by Marcello? There's, by my count, there was, just a handful. Because one of the things that people don't realize is New Orleans never had a rat. Now they had, if you go through the FBI files, there's some people that they identify as confidential informants, but you don't know who they are. They could be, Carlos's neighbor 3 doors down saying, oh yeah, I saw some shady guys with them the other night. And that the FBI, they just put down all the information that they were told. There's nobody that was a New Orleans family member that ever flipped. So getting information is a real pain in the ass sometimes. And getting accurate and reliable information is a real pain in the ass. All right, we're still in Algiers. I lied. This is our actual last stop for Algiers for the West Bank tour. 1944. This is a gas station that Carlos and a couple of buddies in the family were running. They got busted for gas ration stamp counterfeiting. There's Carlos, Nicholas Mustachia, and Nafio Pecora, I believe. So I never did find out what the disposition of that was, but they were busted for it. and it was this gas station right here. This is Newton Street. I want to say 1044, but I don't know if that address is right. But it is Newton Street.